To some big overseas news now. 26 American states are expected to dramatically restrict abortion access if the Supreme Court overturns a key precedent. A leaked draft decision suggests Roe v Wade will soon be struck down. Joining us live is Gordon Flake, who's the CEO of the Perth USAsia Centre. Gordon, appreciate your time joining us live there in Perth. This leak was unprecedented, clearly, just astounding to see that be able to happen. On the issue of abortion more broadly, though, it certainly seems to be leading to further scenes of division in a nation that's already split on so many key issues.
It certainly does, and coming as it does very shortly before the US midterm elections, it's a very political issue. And so there's no question that for the coming months, this will probably be one of the primary issues in terms of domestic politics in the United States. The leak is one issue, but more importantly is the substance of overturning a law which has been the law of the land for about 50 years, in which every sitting Supreme Court justice in their confirmation hearing said was established law, something that would not be overturned. And so we're gearing up for a very, very partisan time in the United States right now.
So what options are there for the Biden administration to try and get around this? And just explain for us how it works in the US in terms of the states having their own laws in this space.
Well, that's exactly what Roe versus Wade did back in 1973, is took it away from the states and it established a national right to abortion, or if you'd frame it the way that the people in the left American politics did, a national right to choice. And so it was no longer subject to individual state laws. In the interim, as those rights have been slowly chipped away, currently 13 U.S. states have already established laws that are on the books. So the moment the Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade, in those 13 states, abortion would immediately be illegal. And then, as you mentioned, another 13 still beyond that, too, are likely to move in that direction quite quickly. And so there will be a patchwork. There will be states where abortion or a right to an abortion is enshrined in law, and there's those which will be made illegal, and so there will no longer be a nationwide standard. And again, this is a really sensitive territory. This is one of these things where political leaders on the right have, for the course of 50 years, campaigned against Roe versus Wade, but much like a dog chasing a car, with little hope that they would actually catch it. And if this does go forward, we're going to see some remarkable times in the United States, because the laws that have been passed thus far are quite extreme by not just international standards, but by U.S. standards. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this impacts on politics.
Gordon, we've had a lot of discussion here at home, obviously, in the last few days about Tuesday's interest rate rise, but we've got nothing on the US, with the Fed Reserve raising the cash rate there overnight by 0.5 percentage points to 1%. It's the biggest one-day hike they've seen in the US since 2000.
Well, look, traditionally central banks, be they in Australia or be the United States, view as their most sacred responsibility fighting inflation. And if you think that the narrative both in Australia and the US for the last 6 months has been inflation, 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 I don't think anybody should be surprised by the increase in interest rates. That is the primary tool that central banks have to fight inflation. Obviously, those come with economic impacts for the housing market, for the economy as a whole, but by design, they're intended to slow down overheating economies, and the overheating of the economies manifests in inflation itself. And so, again, that's one of these issues that is almost certainly to be a political issue in the United States, just as it is here in Australia.
Gordon Flake, always appreciate your analysis. Joining us live there in Perth. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.